Blog Talk Radio.
What's up, everybody? My name is Clifton Pettyjohn, and you are listening to Transformation Radio, where we transform lives through purposeful conversations. Have you ever gotten to a place in life where you find yourself asking, what now? That's right, what now? Circumstances and situations have happened. You feel as if you've been hit from the left and the right. You feel as if nothing that you do ends up working out the way that you desire for it to work out, and you just don't know what you need to do right now. The reality is we've all been there. And sometimes we've been there without the tools, techniques, and strategies to help us make effective decisions to produce the future that we desire. You don't have to do this alone anymore. I invite you to listen to my podcast. That's right, my name is Clifton Pettyjohn. I'm a purpose strategist, author, transformation coach, and spiritual leader. And I host the What Now podcast. And the What Now podcast is simply conversations that teach us how to effectively face life's most difficult moments. That's right, life's most difficult moments. So, if you're interested in hearing the podcast, I encourage you to visit my website, www.cliftonpettyjohn.com. Again, www.cliftonpettyjohn.com. There's a tab for the podcast, and you can pick your favorite platform. We're available on multiple platforms, so you can pick your favorite platform, pick the platform, subscribe to the podcast, listen, comment, and share. All right? So I encourage you again, make sure that you are listening to the What Now podcast. What is up, everybody? My name is Clifton Pettyjohn. Welcome to Transformation Radio. That's right, Transformation Radio, where we transform lives through purposeful conversations, regardless of how uncomfortable and unpopular those conversations are. As I said, my name is Clifton Pettyjohn. I'm a purpose strategist, author, transformation coach, spiritual leader, and radio host. I provide tools and strategies to transition individuals from a life of merely existing to living a life full of purpose. Yes, I'm talking to you. You're out there. There is purpose inside of you. Thank you for joining us on tonight. Without each and every one of you, I always say it, and I truly mean it, there would be no show. I appreciate your love. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate your downloads and your listening. I appreciate each and every one of you. Guys, tonight we have an amazing guest, and we're going to get to her briefly. But before we do, I want to remind everybody, on the last show, I made an announcement that this month we want to honor as many women, as many mothers that are out there that have made an impact in your life. They don't have to be your biological mother. They just have to be a motherly figure If you want me to honor them here on the show, I said I was going to pick 4, but guys, I'm going to be honest with you. If you guys flood my email with more than 4, I will find a way for us to honor each and every woman that you submit this month. We have 4 amazing guests this month in honor of Women Month. We're turning the women loose on the show. Each week is a different woman with a different testimony, with a different purpose that's going to come through here and bless each and every one of us. We want to honor the creativity of the woman, the strength of the woman, the purpose of the woman, and just the presence of the woman on this month. All right, I'm doing this, guys. As some of you know, my mother passed away years ago, and she was such a rock, not just to me. I called her my best friend, but also to our entire family, in our community, and to many kids within the community and families within the community. As a social worker, as a minister of the gospel, and just as herself, she had a smile that would brighten up any room. And it was just, the love that she showed was just amazing. So I'm taking that energy that she placed inside of me and our family and our extended family, and we want to make sure that we honor and celebrate as many women as possible. So you're listening, you want to honor your mother, you want to honor a mother that's making, or maybe it's a single mother that many times are overlooked in your community, that you saw, the various things that she went through. We want you to write us. Write a little bit of why we should honor them. Tell us about them. Tell us about your experience with them, and then we will do the rest, okay? And you can email that to info, I-N-F-O, at CliftonPettyjohn.com. That's right, info at CliftonPettyjohn.com. And you spell Clifton Pettyjohn, C-L-I-F-T-O-N, and then Pettyjohn is P-E-T-T. YJOHN, okay? We want you to email us, guys. Let's make this month special, all right? Now, that's number 1. Number 2, I always say this, and I'm going to continue to say it. We have an amazing guest on tonight, and I want you guys to be a part of the conversation. That's right. I want you to be a part of the conversation. Therefore, the phone lines will be open the entire night. I want you to call in, but I also want each and every one of us to understand that this is a platform with people with a variety, or people from a variety of backgrounds and different belief systems. You are not going to agree with everything I say. You're not going to agree with everything they say. However, here it's a safe space for us all. And we've learned how to disagree in a respectful manner. And I believe that when we learn those things and we leave ourselves open to listen, that when we leave, we always leave in a better state than when we came. And then we begin to create a world not just that's great for us to experience, but it's great for generations that are to come to experience. All right? So here's the call-in number, 516-387-1756. Again, 516-387-1756. Now, also, I do have to limit calls to 1 minute, guys. That's 1 minute. That way we can just make sure as many people who want to join the conversation have an opportunity to join the conversation. All right? Now, let's go. I've taken up enough of y'all time on tonight. You're not listening for me. You're listening for our guest, all right? So I want each and every one of you to help me welcome to the show. She's an author. She's a pastor. She's a speaker. So many things. You're about to be introduced to her through the conversation. Paulette Harper. How are you?
I'm doing really good, Clifton. Thank you so much for having me on. I do appreciate it.
No problem. We thank you for, as I said, off the air as well, your willingness to come on and share with our listening audience on tonight. I know that after this conversation that there are going to be many that are going to be blessed from the conversation and encouraged to continue along their journey.
Well, I hope to be able to impart some type of inspiration and empowerment and some words of encouragement to all of your listeners.
Awesome, awesome. So here we start with a icebreaker question. And this icebreaker question to many doesn't make sense, but there's a purpose behind it. So I'm going to ask you the same icebreaker question I start every interview with, and that question is, if you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be and why?
If I could have one superpower, it would probably be to remove the pain from the hearts of people. And why? Because there is so much pain every day, and nobody has the same degree of it. Some have more than others, but pain is pain. And
Yes.
I may feel that my pain is deeper than yours and vice versa, but if I could have that ability to remove that, the sting of it, the effects of it, the plague of it, the memory of it, the feel of it, if I had that kind of power, that is what I would use it for, to remove that kind of pain, and that we would live in a world where it's painless. We don't feel it. Therefore, we're not subject to it. We don't. We're not prone to it. We don't behave out of it. We don't respond out of it. Definitely, yeah. I would love to be able to do that.
Now, I want to stay right there. And this has never failed. Every time I ask the question, every time I've asked the question, everybody answers the question according to their purpose, what it is they've been called and created to do. So let's talk about that pain right there for a minute, because right now we're in a pandemic, and there's a lot of people that have lost loved ones. Some have lost jobs. Some are losing homes. That thing that has been their security for so long. How do we, as the body of Christ, as the church, as the called out ones, the remnant, how do we minister to individuals that are facing these times that many of us never saw coming?
Yeah, it's been it's really been an eye-opener to see where we are as a people and where we are as a body. And, all I can do is offer hope and encouragement, knowing that, one, God is the great creator. He knows, and he knew exactly where we would be at, what we'd be going through. He allowed it. And I just believe that his word never fails, and that he said that all things are going to work together for good to those who love God and to those who are called according to his purpose, and that we can find some hope in him. And I know for myself, I've been in places where I've experienced where everything around me crumbled, and all I had was God. But that was where he wanted me to be. That was where he got my attention, And when all hope seems to be gone and there seems to be no way out, God always has a ram in the bush. He always has a blessing. He always has a purpose. And we just have to, stop and ask him, Lord, what are you saying? What are you speaking to me? Not what you're speaking to anybody else, but what are you speaking to me? And when it comes to the pandemic and what is going on, I look at the fact that everybody is in this boat together. Nobody is exempt from it. States, countries, cities, governors, everybody is in this boat. And how are we going to plow our way out of this? And so I know that God has purpose. He has the end of the thing is going to be better than the beginning. I know that God has reasons for what He has allowed to happen, but I also know as people of God, we have to live totally by faith. We can't be weakened in our faith. We can't be wondering about where are you, God? No, God is right with us because we have His word, and so I encourage people. I try to give them the word of the Lord. I try to tell them that God is there, and God has a purpose for it all, and that better days are ahead because I've lived through days like this in my own personal life when I didn't even think better days were ahead, and God would still speak a word to me in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the darkness, in the midst of the cloudiness that I was going through. God could still speak a word of encouragement, and that is really what I would say to anybody. God is saying to you, because what He's saying to you it may be different than what He's saying to me because our journeys are not the same, and so I definitely would just encourage people to just, get into the Word, hear the voice of the Lord, ask God, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? How can I reset my life? How can I reassign my life? How can I put my life back in alignment with you, because this is the time to do it, because, we've allowed, jobs and families and money and prestige and titles to, push God on out, saying, oh, I got this, I can do it on my own, or I achieve this on my own. And God said, no, you did not. Let me remove all that you have found to be secure, just like when he told Abraham, get amongst all that you know. Get away from where you're comfortable. Let me take you to a place that you don't know. And when you get there, I'll tell you. So He removes the security from us so that our reliance and our hope is only in Him. And His eyes, the Bible says, the eyes of the Lord are running to and fro throughout the whole earth, seeking whom He shall show Himself strong to.
Absolutely. I one of the things that I believe that you hit something. You said that, we're all in this same boat together, and it's regardless of those who may be wealthy, those who may not have experienced wealth, regardless if you're black, you're white, whatever, we all are in the same situation. It's amazing to me how God can take a situation and then bring those who may have felt they were a little better than others to a place where we're all, you can't buy your way out of this situation. You can't, think your way out of this situation right now. It's like we have to take time, and you hit it, relationship. It's time to establish that relationship with Him. And you said so much, but you also said that, hear what He's telling you, because what He's telling you may be different than what He's telling me. But develop that relationship so you can hear Him for yourself. That was good. Yeah. Okay, so now, here's what we're going to do before we get further in the conversation. We're going to play a quick game of word association, okay? Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 words I'm going to throw out there at you. You can either give me one word that comes to mind with it. You can give me a sentence that comes to mind with it. And some of the words you're going to see, I'm going to say, oh, can you elaborate on that? Let's stay right there and talk about that. And then we'll, go wherever we're led, all right? All right, so the first word is purpose. Purpose.
Destiny.
Okay. Now, we're going to go back to purpose a little bit later, so I'm going to let you slide with that right now. Then we're going to go back to it further in the conversation. All right?
Okay.
The next word is life.
Living in abundance.
Now, let's talk about the abundance. What does abundance look like? Because a lot of people feel as if they're not living in abundance because of what their perception of abundance is. What is your definition of abundance?
Abundance for Paulette is living comfortable, that I'm at peace. I'm not worried about, my bills. I'm not worried. I don't do no drama. I'm living in harmony with myself, with people, with God. I'm living at a place of stability emotionally, financially, spiritually. That's abundance for me. And I may not have a whole lot of money in the bank, but I have an abundance of riches that you can't even put a price tag on. When you can live in total peace, that you know that your safety, your security, your existence, your purpose is wrapped up in God. And no matter what, having him and having that peace that just surpasses all understanding, that's abundance for me. And everything else is overflow. Everything else is overflow. And it's just having the peace that you can't even describe it. That's abundance for me.
Okay. Now the next word is ministry.
Reaching souls and sharing the gospel to those, to everyone, really. That's ministry. Seeing lives changed and transformed.
Awesome. Now, to those that are involved in ministry now, and it's been a struggle because, a lot of people equate ministry simply to church. What do you say to individuals? Because right now, in some states, you can't gather and have church. There's still some people gathering, it's still having services, but there are some who can't.
Right.
So what do you say to those that are involved in ministry right now, and they may feel as if there's nothing I can do because I can't get to church?
Well, the church is in you, The church is in you, and the church that we're accustomed to going to, during the middle of the week and on Sundays, that's the building,
Yes.
And, the Bible tells me where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he would be in our midst. And I can be anywhere and be the church. And so my mandate is to minister the gospel wherever I am. And my neighborhood is my Jerusalem, and so I'm called, if I can't go, minister inside the 4 walls, God said, go out and minister, go outside the 4 walls, because you go to the store every day, you see people every single day, and that's your opportunity to minister. And so this time that, we've been forced to do ministry differently, really. And so we've had to get adjusted to not the norm anymore, because truth of the matter is, I don't know how some ministries going to go back. You just really can't go back to the way things were,
Absolutely.
And so, so I just believe that when people have such a hard time, separating the physical building from God being in you, then you have to think about, okay, is it the relationship? Is my relationship with God, or is my relationship with that church? And so, and so I think that people, that's another thing God done did. He just removed everything that we've been so comfortable in doing, and said, do something different, do something new, because ministry has to be different. If we're going to reach people, because times are getting short, things are just moving, rapidly. The coming of the Lord is nigh. And so we have to do ministry differently. And so minister to your family, minister to, your neighbors. And so there's so many things that we can do that we don't necessarily have to go to the church to do, because the church is in us.
Right. And I really have been on creatives like that. There, to me, is a level of creativity that comes along with ministry that has yet to be tapped into. And I feel like this is the time, that it's able to be tapped into and expressed. I feel like we've kind of boxed God in and the expression of who God is into what became the norm. So everything had to be shaken up so that now we can begin to see another dimension of who God is and what ministry looks like. So I like that there. Now, the next word is, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you mentioned the word being creative, and then in this time, just being creative, being innovative, and just really thinking outside the norm, outside the box, and this took, has taken a lot of ministries by surprise. I mean, it's taken people by surprise, period, and so with ministries who were not online, ministries who were not, doing internet, ministries who were not doing podcasts, it has just really forced them to have to do ministry like this because you don't know how long we're going to be, in this predicament. And, so you have to be innovative, and you got to think outside the box and be creative. And if you can't be creative within yourself, ask God, because He's a great creator. He can give you creativity. He can give you inspiration. He can give you dreams. He can give you visions of things that He wants to birth here on the earth when it comes to ministry and reaching the lost and whatnot. And so we just have to have an open heart to how God wants to do ministry now.
Exactly. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, because some people are like, well, I'm not creative. And I'm like, you're missing it. The ultimate creative created you. If the ultimate creative created you, He placed some creative expression inside of you that you just haven't tapped into yet. And I believe that this is the moment now. Like, another thing I believe that happened because of this pandemic is that now, with being stuck at home, sometimes when it comes to purpose, we can be so external with our purpose, and we're out helping this one and out helping that one and out helping this one, that we've neglected this vessel that the Creator has given us. And now we have to turn that mirror around and now begin to deal with those internal things inside of us and connect with who we are, even those things that we sometimes don't like, we want to run from. We have to settle on those things, because sometimes our creativity is locked up inside of facing, a lot of those things. So, I just think it's a great time for ministry right now. And if we, come out of the whole we can't go to church like we usually do, and begin to understand the greater impact we can have from the internet. I mean, the message can be reached by more people than just those that come to the building, and we could really begin to make a great impact, because now everybody's looking for answers. They're looking for something. Everybody is looking for something. So it's like it's been created for us. Let's take advantage of this thing.
Exactly. And I think for the church, those that have been able to pivot, quickly to be online and set themselves up, they're reaching more people than they would inside their church. They're preaching to, the scripture that came to me was that God in the last days the gospel is going to be preached all over the world, and God
all
is doing
over.
that. He's preaching
He's doing it.
the word of the Lord. He's doing it. It's being preached all over the world. And I remember the first day that the pandemic, it was the first day that we couldn't go to church. I started at 6 o'clock in the morning hearing the word of the Lord. I went from Florida to Oakland to New York to Chicago, just hearing the word right here in my home, and that was wonderful.
Yep. Yes, it gives you the ability. Not only does the word able to travel, but you're able to travel right there virtually, from your living room, from your bedroom, from your kitchen. And I think that sometimes we miss the blessing in it. My former pastor used to always tell us, in everything, find your place of praise. And she always had us looking at some of the craziest situations. She would have us look for a place of praise in it. And that has taught me like a lot over the years with everything that I go through. It always makes me take a step back and say, okay, this doesn't feel good. I don't like the way it looks. I'm uncomfortable with this thing. But nevertheless, it's an opportunity for, number one, God to reveal himself to me even greater. Number two, God to reveal to me how great he is in me and can be through me, and for him to get the glory. So, I'm excited about where ministry is now and where it is headed. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, amen.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so now the next word is trauma.
Ooh, trauma. Been there, lived in it, recovered, and thriving.
All right, now, let's talk about it. You broke it down to me in the process of trauma. Been there, lived in it, recovered, and thriving. Let's talk about the been there, the living in it, the recovery, and the thriving. How did you get from been there to thriving?
Wow. Well, I was married for 23 years to a pastor.
Okay.
And so when we divorced, this is, I'm thinking about, having been comfortable, where I was in my marriage and whatnot, and not thinking about, well, what if, this doesn't work. And so when we got divorced, in the process of divorce, because I had, put everything in that, and when it was all removed, I felt I was left with absolutely nothing. No hope, no life, no purpose, no identity. And so everything was removed that I was attached to. And so the trauma from that left me in a place of emotional brokenness, severe depression, suicidal thoughts, and just in a place of feeling like God had left me, and yet I know God was still with me. And so the emotional trauma from that and living in it, to the point of when you don't feel like your life is worth living, when you don't feel like nobody loves you, when you don't feel like there's even any purpose for you.
Yes.
And so living in that for years, and it was a struggle emotionally, it was a spiritual struggle. It was warfare for me to get out of that. And so being in that darkness, that is something that you would never want anybody to be in, because one more thing could have just, I could have took pills. I could have just jumped off the bridge, because you're in a place where you're in a place where the only voice you're hearing and listening to is the enemy telling you to kill yourself, you know, to end your life. Nobody loves you. Nobody will ever love you, you know. And then when he magnifies the condition and he magnifies the situation and he magnifies the pain, and that's all you see, then you want to agree with him and do what he has, you know, spoken into your mind, you know. And so living in that was hell. It really was. And how I came out of that was through therapy, the Word of God. God brought people back into my life to keep feeding me, you know. And what I thought would have ended up killing me was actually God was building me up. I didn't know it. It didn't feel good. It wasn't a journey I wanted to be on, but it was a journey that God had assigned for me. It was something that God had allowed me to go through because he knew that I could handle it, even though I didn't feel like I could handle it. Yes. And so coming through that, realizing that my purpose, realizing that God still had, you know, ministry for me, realizing that God still loved me. He still, you know, wanted me. I was still the apple of his eye. He still adored me as his daughter. And realizing that everything that I thought I lost, I can gain it back in God. And that was me, you know, going on this journey of just reinventing who I was as a woman, as a believer, as a child of God, finding my purpose again, you know, living again, just really finding who Paulette was because she lost herself and all of that stuff, you know. And so that's the recovery, you know, and then the surviving from all of that. And then now at a place where I'm thriving emotionally, you know, I'm thriving in the place where, you know, God just keeps showing his favor on my life and giving me ideas and just being my daddy, being my Abba Father, and just living in this place of favor and prosperity, not so much, you know, with a lot of money, but just being prosperous in my soul, you know, being prosperous that way. And so that's what that's about.
Awesome. And I'm going to tell you, if you've never experienced prosperity in your soul, that peace that honestly passes all understanding, then you might not understand what she's saying. But there is something about peace after your mind has been, it feels like in a train wreck from you know, the trauma of some of the things that you experience. There's nothing like it. Like, you wouldn't trade that for the world. So now let's talk about something, because you said something here. You talked about how you recovered, and you used a curse word in our culture sometimes, and that word is therapy. I don't need therapy. I got God. I'm saved. Ooh. I don't need therapy. I know, huh? You know, therapy has been a blessing. Listen, it has saved my life and saved some other people's lives from my life too. So I'm a big advocate for therapy. So how did you come to grips with the reality that therapy may have been a method you needed to try?
Well, during this time, me and my ex, we were, you know, trying to reconcile, and I had suggested to him, I said, let's go to counsel, you know, and what you just said, I'm not going to counsel. I'm a man of faith. I don't want nobody knowing about my business. Okay. And so I had decided right then and there that I needed counsel for Paulette, because if I didn't go to counsel for Paulette, Paulette was going to go crazy, you know. And so when I went to counsel, I told my counselor, I said, I didn't come here to save my marriage. I came to save Paulette. So we just going to minister to Paulette. We going to help her because she needs help. because she's at a place of total brokenness. And if she don't get saved in these sessions here and everything else that God, had put in my life to help me through this process, if Paulette don't get saved here, Paulette's not going to make it. And so I encourage people, because God uses therapy. He uses therapists. I went to a Christian therapist, and so, God can use them to go to those deep, dark places that we don't want to go to, because they're trained to do that, and even if that means, okay, take me back to when I was 10, because whatever happened at 10 is affecting me at 30. I need to deal with that, And so I would, therapy was for me, because I knew that if I didn't go that route, because I wasn't getting no therapy at home, and so I needed that for Paulette, and so I went and I got that, and she began to just really dissect some things, some emotions within me, and just pinpoint some things that I would have been feeling, and was able to just ask me questions that, I had to ponder over. I had to go deep, because the pain was deep, and she had to go deep and cut, and help me heal through that process. And so I'll go to therapy at a drop of a hat if I feel that that's going to help me.
Yes.
And it doesn't.
And that's me.
It doesn't dismiss our faith in Christ. It doesn't say we don't have faith in Him. It doesn't say we don't, have confidence in the Word. It does not. That doesn't mean that at all. It just means that sometimes we need another outlet. Sometimes we need something else to help us pull out, those hidden darkness, those hidden places that, we hide from everybody else, And so even though he didn't want to go, because for him it was, he looked at it like he wouldn't be living by faith. Well, for me it was, if I don't go, I'm going to die. So I got to go,
Right.
Yeah.
And you hit a point that sometimes you have to take that journey on your own. Everybody's not going to go with you with some of the steps that you have to take along your path, and you have to be willing to take those steps on your own. So, I'm big on therapy. But through after my divorce, that was what saved my life. I tell people all the time, God, my support system, and therapy saved my life. Because as you said, that therapist, they're skilled to do it. They're skilled to go in some of those areas that you have locked up. You done kept them locked up and threw away the key. All of those things, they're skilled to go there. And they'll go there and get you thinking and show you. And I tell people all the time, therapy causes you to look within yourself to realize that many times they're not giving you answers. They're showing you that the answer is locked up inside of you. You just have to take that journey to get back to it. So, I'm big on therapy. So, all right, so we kind of just talked about this with the trauma, but I still want to hit this last word, and that's transformation.
Yeah. Transformation is really, for me, it was the change that my pain got me through. It was the change that was that God was making in my life from all that pain. Transformation is, changing your mind, changing, your thoughts. It is being renewed. It's being new. It's not doing things the same anymore. It's changing your character. It's changing your behavior. It's just, butterfly coming out of the cocoon for the very first time. That kind of transformation, and it's a transformation that only God can do. It comes from the inside out, And so if you're being transformed inside, your mind and your spirit being transformed by, the Word of God, that's just going to manifest on the outside, And we don't have to look like the pain that we've gone through. And if we can just really allow the pain and God's purpose to be pulled out of that, the transformation is going to come, the newness of life will come, and, you look at life differently because your mind has been changed. Internally you're not looking at life like you used to. And so, the transformation for me is being able to live through hell and it not affect you like it could have, years ago, but you being changed from that.
Awesome. Now we're going to segue, from transformation. You mentioned purpose. When we talked about purpose earlier, you said destiny. So I want to ask you this question. What is your purpose?
My purpose is to, of course, minister the Word of God, but also to help other women know that they can find hope in the midst of their trauma, their dilemmas, their chaos, their pain, the divorce, whatever the loss may be. I find purpose in that. I find that my purpose is really to teach women how to change the narrative and turn those painful experiences into, transformational stories. That's one of the things that I do with my coaching. And so my purpose really is to manifest who God is in my life so that I can be a fragrance for those who I come in contact with, and just ministering his love to people, and seeing other people come to know the Lord. That's my purpose for being here on earth. And apart from ministry, me writing books and all those things like that, that's part of, God's big purpose for my life.
So how did you discover your purpose?
Wow. I actually discovered my purpose as a minister before I had gotten married, and we had I had been saved since I was in my 20s, so we did ministry together. But I found my purpose for writing and becoming an author through all my pain. I found that purpose, And so I went through all that pain and realized that I had words to say. I had a truth that needed to be told. I had a story that needed to be heard. And so I didn't know that words were in me. I didn't know I had that many words. I didn't even know I had a story within me, but God birthed that out of me when I went through all of the hell and the trauma and the disappointments and all of that. That purpose was birthed out of me. And so I can't even, it's looking back and seeing how God just changed the narrative of my life and just, made things different based on, my willingness to go through it, because it was either die or live, and so him, fulfilling his purpose in me and then living through that. But it really came through all that pain and all that hell, and realizing that I had a story that needed to be told. And I began to write my story, and then one story came to another story, and that, I've been writing stories ever since and writing books ever since, but only because of the pain that I had gone through.
Now, well, that's going to segue us right into what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about the writing. on your website, you say something, and I was like, oh, that sticks out to me here. You said, writing allows me to live through each story. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I write both nonfiction and fiction. And so in my nonfiction, I started writing nonfiction. And so in my nonfiction stories, really those nonfiction stories are, my life lessons. It is, my journey and how God has, walked with me in life. And so my first book that was in This Broken Vessel Restored talks about the journey of going through divorce. And so in writing that particular, story, of course, that's all about me and God and how he, walked me through that. And then with my other nonfiction book, those are, completely whole, talks about, the life lessons that I learned and how I convey, I can share what I've gone through in hopes that other people, if they're going through it, that they can find and say, okay, well, if she got through it, I can get through it too, And so living that and living through the words, hoping that people, readers, will be able to grasp and take those words and they can live within, they can live those words out in their very own lives. And then with my fiction, you have to be able to live a story because your characters live in your mind. Your characters are talking in your head about all different kinds of things because dialogue is going on in your mind and your head with these characters, and being able to live through the characters. I've always been a reader of inspirational romance, and when I started writing my own romance story, I wanted to write a story that Paulette can fit into, and I did. And so, a lot of the parts of the character and the characteristics, that's Paulette. So I'm able to live, in these characters because I've created them,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I also see that you've written a children's book as well, Princess Nevaeh.
Yeah, Princess Nevaeh.
Okay. Now, I just had another author on our last show, and he writes multiple genres as well. Is there a different space you have to go in for each genre, or is it just kind of like you've done it so long now it just flows right out of you?
Well, not for me. So for me, it's when I started writing, it was nonfiction, and it's for me, it was hard to go from nonfiction to fiction, and so because when you write fiction, you have to put yourself as the reader. You have to have the characters. You got to think of the plot. You got to think of all the dialogue. You have to be so many parts to this fiction book, in order for it to just really develop, and the plot and the scheme and all that to develop. You got to think about scenery. There's so many things to think about, and so I just can't do it like that. Now, some people, they've been in the industry a whole lot longer. Maybe they can, but I can't do it like that. It's easier. It's actually easier for me to write, nonfiction. But I wanted to write a fiction story, and God allowed me to do that and gave me the story to do it, and it was successful. It was an award-winning novel, and so. I just don't turn on like that. It's a work.
Okay, I got you. Got you. Okay. Now, are there any plans for any of these books to be turned into like a TV series, a movie, any of those plans in the future?
I would love that. That's always been my aspiration to have especially my novel to turn into a movie, a film. So that's something that I would love to explore, and have that on my list on my bucket list. Really, definitely would love that.
Okay. Now, since we're talking about the writing, let's talk about the Storytellers Academy. Can you tell us, how that became about, what it is, and actually, what you do within it?
Yeah, so Storytellers Academy is a membership course that I created to be able to help other authors. I do one-on-one coaching, and so I wanted to scale my business so that I'm able to reach more people and, build more of a legacy for my family and be able to help other people, And so I wanted to have a place where I can teach aspiring authors, nonfiction aspiring authors, how to write, publish, and promote their books. And so Storytellers Academy is the answer to those who are looking to be able to write their stories and have that accountability, have that coaching, have me take them on a journey that's going to be quicker than them, procrastinating for years to write a story. And so it's a 6-month membership. And so, during the 6 months, it's me with the, helping them, map out their story, getting their storyline together, and then, putting them on the schedule. And then within the 6 weeks, they can have their book published. And so I just really wanted to open up and streamline my business so that I'm able to effectively teach more people how to write their books and tell their truth.
Awesome. Now, with the Storytellers Academy, is that open just to women, or are men able to take advantage of that opportunity as well?
Oh no, that'll be open to men as well, and
okay.
So yeah, definitely. Everybody has a story, and I'm just going to be a conduit for God to help them birth those stories out.
Absolutely, and a lot of people frown at I was talking to somebody, and they were like, "I've never heard of a book coach." Or somebody to coach. I said, well, you need to try it for yourself. Don't sleep on it. Like, because people feel that about life too. That's why I think some of us come up with more creative ways to say what we are, because the life coach name has gotten, such a taboo. It's like a taboo subject. But I feel it's important to have coaches in every area of our lives, and it's not so that the coaches can tell us what we need to do. But like I said, a great coach, they're going to help you, guide you, lead you, instruct you, but you're going to have to do the work yourself. And a lot of people say, well, I've been with a coach and it failed. Did you follow through with that work? So I love that there is an academy that you're doing and the one-on-one sessions too. I love the one-on-one sessions, and I remember talking to one of my mentors, and he was like, I know you love that one-on-one encounter, but you got to make this thing scale. You hit it, though. When he said, he was like, you have to make this scale for your family and for, those that, you're reaching. So that's great. So I encourage you, if you're out there, you have a story, even though you're wrestling with your story, I'm going to leave room for you to give information on how everybody can contact you and find out about the academy as well. But I do want to hit something else. We're almost finished, but you said you wanted to write a fiction novel. Was it just something that you wanted to do for years, or was it just like you woke up one day and was like, I've been successful with these nonfictions, let me stretch out a little bit?
I think that is true to a point. whereby I had been reading, fiction and whatnot, and it was just something that I was just, an unction, a passion to do it. And I mean, at that time, I didn't know nothing about writing no fiction, no fiction story. And so, no, really, I didn't. And so, I was writing a nonfiction as, when I was prompted to write the fiction story. And so, and I think it was because I had read a lot of fiction romance before, and I was just getting the desire to do it, became stronger and stronger. And I just finally thought, you know what, I'm going to try it, And so I just began to, outline the best way I knew how. And so that's really where it came. But, thinking back on, how God, he directs our lives. And had I not had I not wrote the fiction novel, it wouldn't have never been an award winner. And so, so I think back on that and just think, okay, the hand of the Lord definitely was on that, and I know that because I in and of myself, I can't think of all these thousands and 100,000 of words. I just can't. I don't have that kind of capacity, but God does. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah. But being able to write it and then it being an award winner and seeing that God did that thing, and I just I'm thankful to Him for that. So yeah.
I asked you that question because there are a lot of people that are out there and they feel a pull to want to try something new. Maybe it's not even writing. It may be another field professionally. But they have that hesitation about it. That's why I asked you, did you have that unction to do it? But you said something, and I hope everybody heard that. Had you not stepped out and written it, it wouldn't have won an award. Right. So I encourage you all, step out. Try something new. Try something that's a little risky. Try something that kind of scares you and see what God does with it.
Yeah, yeah. And this is actually the greatest time to do that in this time of being quarantined. Find something new to do. Do something different. Be more innovative. Be creative. Go outside the box. Do it scared. Jump. God got you. God will catch you. And if you never ever do it, one thing that we can't live life with is regrets. With the what ifs, the what ifs. You have to do things scared. Just do it. And if you don't do it, how will you ever know you'll be successful? Give yourself an opportunity to succeed.
I agree. And I don't know if you noticed, but we have talked ourselves off the air. So didn't even know. I told you the hour goes by so quick. But I want to ask you this question. And the question I want to ask you is, because you've given us so much over this hour, I want to ask you, if the listeners are out there and they were to forget everything that you said on tonight, what is one thing that you would want them to remember?
One thing I would want them to remember is that they have to have their hope in God. That's the one thing, because without having hope in Him, then there's really no existence, Absolutely. And so even in the place that we're in right now, we got to have hope in Him. We have to have faith and courage in Him. And so, my life has really been one of just hoping that, just trusting God and believing God that He it's going to turn around. It's going to get better, and just believe in Him on that. And so I would just say that, just really have your hope and your faith and your confidence in God himself and nothing else. And as long as we have that, everything else is going to be added on to us.
Absolutely. Now, here on the show, we like to honor those who have served as mentors, spiritual leaders, advisors, our support systems. I call them transforming transformers. They're people who have lived a life of transformation, and now they make it their purpose in life to assist others in their transformation. So is there anybody that you would like to shout out that has been a transforming transformer in your life through some of your stages that you went through?
Yeah, my girlfriend Leah was the one that God had, brought back into my life when I was going through my divorce and stuff. And she really came and just really was my armor bearer. And just held me up through it, and I know that, God strategically brought her back at that right time and that right moment, because that's exactly what I needed.
Awesome. Now, I have one more question I'm going to ask you, but before I get to that question, I want to leave an opportunity for you to tell everyone where they can follow you at, where they can purchase your products, just all your social media handles so they can connect with you, all of those great things. And then if you want to leave them with a word or anything that you want to do, you're welcome to right now.
Okay. Well, they can go to my website, which is PauletteHarper.com. I am on Facebook as Pastor Paulette. And I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, and I am also on IG. So they can connect with me on social media. And even on my website, they can get some information about Storytellers Academy. And I just, I would just say to those that are listening that all hope is not gone. And sometimes we may think that we're not going to get out of it, there's nothing better, because our minds just easily go to the negative stuff, It's easy for us to do that. But we can always find something to be grateful to God about. We can find something to just thank him for and meditate on that. Not all this other stuff. Just meditate and find something to be grateful to God about.
Awesome. Now, I end the conversation with the same question to everybody, okay? And that question is, who is God to you?
He is my friend. He is my confidant. He's my Savior. He's my Lord. He is my daddy. He's my daddy. He's my Abba Father. And he is the one that I can trust without hesitation. He's the one that I can rely on without thinking twice about it, because he'll never lie to me. And he's the one that loves me in my stinkiness, in my frailty.
I agree.
He loves me in all of that junk. That's who God is to me.
Awesome. And guys, you hear it again. Every time I ask that question, it's never answered the same way. And I love that. And the reason why I love that is because I believe that there are realms and dimensions of God that we have yet to unlock. And every time we get together and have a conversation and we're talking about God and his greatness, we unlock another dimension because we share who God has been to us, and that person may not have experienced the attribute of God yet. So that's why I always like to end the conversation with that question. But listen, guys, thank you all for listening. As I said at the beginning of the show, there is no show without you guys. There's no reason for me to sit behind this microphone and talk if you guys are not listening. I encourage each and every one of you to connect with Paulette on social media, as well as invest in your purpose by purchasing her books and finding out about the Academy. We all have a story, and sometimes the story is locked within us, and we just need someone to help pull that story out of us. So that's my encouragement to you, is to connect with her. Remember, guys, I'm looking to honor women this month. If you have a woman you would like to nominate, a mother you would like to nominate, definitely reach out to me at info@CliftonPettyjohn.com. Connect with me on all of my social media platforms, just typing in Clifton Pettyjohn. Make sure you visit my website. Listen, we got some amazing shows this month. Find out when the next show is and who's going to be the guest by visiting www.CliftonPettyjohn.com. Scroll down a little bit. You'll see Transformation Radio. Also, while you're there, make sure you check out the What Now podcast, y'all. Check out that podcast. That's something I'm enjoying doing. All right, so, again, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Paulette, again, for your willingness to come on the show and share freely with us. That means so much when people come and are willing to share freely. We cannot express how much we are grateful for everything that you share with us. Guys, as I always say, create a great day, walk with purpose, and by all means, execute your vision. Execute your vision. I'm sorry, guys. Have a great evening. Can you identify any areas in your life where stagnation is manifesting? Now, I know some of you might say, no, I can't. Well, I want us to look at stagnation for what it really is. Some people have identified stagnation as something that's not growing or that's not producing. I don't believe that's stagnation. To me, stagnation can also be that, yes, we're growing, yes, we're producing. However, we're growing and producing in a manner that's disrespectful to the purpose and the greatness that resides inside of us. And listen, we all have areas where we can identify that we could be doing a lot better in. There's greater potential in those areas than we are experiencing. And guess what? I have a tool that will help you begin to experience transformation in those areas of stagnation in your life. And that tool is called From Stagnation to Transformation. That's right. That is my book, From Stagnation to Transformation. So I want you to head over to my website, www.CliftonPettyjohn.com. I want you to hit there. I want you to hit the Transformation tab. There you're going to find a free preview of my book. That's right, a free preview of my book. And I promise you, after you read the preview, you're going to want to invest in your personal transformation through purchasing the book. So again, head over there, purchase the book. Let me know you purchased it. Here's what I always say, guys. If you purchase the book, you read the book, you apply the principles in your life, and yet you still are stagnant in the areas that you are applying them to, and you're not experiencing any transformation, and you can prove to me that you have applied these principles, I will give you a 100% refund. That's right, a 100% refund. Why? Because I believe in the application of the principles that are outlined in this book. So again, visit www.CliftonPettyjohn.com and purchase your copy of From Stagnation to Transformation.